So I was in South Africa on a project working with street kids, and on a day off in town there was this guy with a tin can, blanket, matted hair, not smelling too great, and my first reaction was to avoid making eye contact. I've always really struggled to know what to do about poverty, how to respond, what to do with my fear. I walked past, but I couldn't get the guy out of my head, so I went to a bakery and bought a couple of filled rolls and some drinks and went back. But I didn't just give him lunch. I asked if I could sit and eat lunch with him, and I spent the rest of the day begging, but it wasn't what I expected. Today is Social Services Sunday, and the easy thing to do on a day like this would be to ask for money, to remind you of family and community and the work they do in their community houses, or the city mission and their drug and alcohol rehab, or aged care and their work in the hospice, or any of the projects, I guess, that make Anglican Care the largest NGO social service provider in the country. But instead, I want to say thank you. Thank you for your support, for the volunteer hours at the Christmas dinner or helping cook at the night shelter. Thank you for your support of the op shops or donations to the food bank, for the support of the community houses or taking people to visit the retirement homes, or any of the projects that make Anglican Care the largest NGO social service provider in the country. From the staff and clients, we really do appreciate it, and I want to say thank you. I do also want to ask for something, but it's not money. When I spent the day begging, the thing I noticed most was the lengths people would go to avoid making eye contact. If you did manage to catch someone's eye, they would cross over to you and drop a coin in the can and hurry on quickly. They wouldn't stop, they wouldn't introduce themselves, they wouldn't say hello. And I get why. It's the same lack of comfort and fear that made me walk past the first time. Social services are about offering love and care to those who have fallen through the cracks in society, but those cracks shouldn't exist. Isolation, loneliness, lack of connection, these things shouldn't exist in a community with an Anglican church at its heart. Social services should be a backstop, not the default in care and love. Historically, the first thing that was built when an area was settled was a post office, a trading post, and an Anglican church. Historically, we were in the heart of every community. And that's what Jesus calls us to love our neighbours, to know our community, to make sure there's no loneliness, that there's no isolation. The better connected our communities are, the less gaps exist for people to fall through. So, may this Social Services Sunday remind us to get to know our neighbours better and to get to know their neighbours better, to begin to close some of the gaps through which people fall. There's all sorts of creative ways people are doing this, from starting veggie co-ops to having a community meal on a Sunday, or even just walking the same route in their neighbourhood every day. Let's begin to close some of those gaps through which people fall. We may not have the absolute poverty like some parts of the world, but there's still a relative poverty that's tragic and crippling for those involved. Christ calls us to love our neighbours, not just through our professionalised social services, but by knocking on the door, by making eye contact. So, who's lonely in your parish right now? Where do you need to make eye contact? How's it going?
Hey man.
Yeah, good. What are you up to?
Killing some time.
You want a coffee?
Yeah, I'd love one.
Yeah, it's getting a bit cold. I think it's going to rain in a moment.